In this video, I'm bringing you 10 fragrances that'll more than likely help you stand out from those around you. Reason being, either they got overshadowed and fell out of favor with people because other fragrances in their own line get more popularity, more hype, or are viewed by certain people as better than this particular fragrance, or sales may have been so poor that they became obscure and didn't have overwhelmingly positive reviews when they got released. But for one reason or another, these are what I believe are some fantastic fragrances that a lot of people around you more than likely won't be wearing. And if you're looking for something to set you apart from the crowd, I think these 10 fragrances are the ones that do it. So stay tuned. Starting with one from YSL that got discontinued and then its bottle got recycled for its new extremely popular flanker, La Nuit de l'Homme Bleu Electrique. This being La Nuit de l'Homme Eau Electrique. The bottle may look familiar because it's recycled for the new Bleu Electrique. What's interesting about this one to me is it smells like a touch of the La Nuit de l'Homme DNA, that sweet, powdery cardamom type of smell, meets Versace Eros. And that could be at its detriment. But honestly, I think this smells so much better and has so much more character than Versace Eros, whether it be the EDT, the EDP. I haven't tried the Parfums, so I can't really throw that one in there. But overall, it's got a little bit more going for it. Ever since the first time I smelled this one, I thought it was a fantastic fragrance. It's amazing to me how many more people don't enjoy this as compared to those that just kind of let it fall to the wayside. The sales numbers ended up being nothing special, apparently because it's one of those flankers that got discontinued. And I just thought it was always interesting that they recycled the bottle, because it's a gorgeous blue gradient to dark blue design. The bottles always look cool, but the juice inside the bottle is something to behold, in my opinion. It takes what's good about Eros, that mass appealing apple vanilla type of smell, a little bit of a mintiness going on here, where here it's geranium that provides that mintiness, so it's a little bit more of an earthy, minty, darker type of minty tone to it, with a little touch of that powdery sweet cardamom smell, which I don't even recall if cardamom's in the notes, but it smells like a combination of Eros meets La Nuit de l'Homme, and I think it makes for just a gorgeous aroma that ideally not best for the summertime, but the rest of the year I think works great during the day, great for evenings, great at work, great overall. It's a very interesting smell that's easy to like and has a little bit of character going for it, where it's just a little different from fragrances it smells similar to. So if you can get your hands on this one for a decent price out there, admittedly not the easiest fragrance to find these days, but when you can find them, they aren't breaking the bank. Check out La Nuit de l'Homme Eau Electrique. Now I can tell you firsthand that the Private Accord flanker in the Boss the Scent line gets most of the love. I know on my channel it gets most of the love as well, but Boss the Scent Absolute should absolutely get just as much spotlight as the Private Accord flanker. This has a more simplistic note breakdown officially from the brand with Maninka, vetiver, and I forgot honestly, I want to say it was ginger is the spicy note that they advertise. But the Maninka and ginger, the way they come off here, it's got a bit of a boozy feel to it. It's very warm and much more spicy than the rest of the fragrances in the line, whereas Private Accord's got more of a gourmand feel with dark chocolate and this lovely coffee note that makes for a great cold weather fragrance. I feel like summer evenings, spring evenings, fall daytime, just evenings as a whole, this really shines. This has a nice, warm, sensual appeal to it, where it's warm and spicy, but it doesn't have a sharp, spicy edge at the same time going for it. It's got a boozy feel without smelling like you've been drinking. It's not an overwhelming rum or whiskey or sweet cognac type of smell. It's very brilliantly blended to give off simple facets but deep facets at the same time, whereas it is a simplistic note breakdown, and you can, if you really look for it, you can smell the simplicity of it, but it seems like it's never ending and deep and provides some form of intrigue without being complex. It really is a special fragrance in my opinion, and one that, shame on me, I haven't worn enough. But this is definitely kind of a dark horse from Hugo Boss and from the Boss the Scent line as a whole, and it's one that more people should get their hands on and give a try, because honestly, it might be the best smelling one in the line in my opinion. Get your nose on it. Boss the Scent Absolute. Now, I'll be the first to tell you that two of the fragrances in this line are magnificent, and they are, without a shadow of a doubt, the reason this does not get the love it deserves anymore. A once brilliant original that's pushed to the wayside because of its brilliant flankers, that being the original AZZARO Wanted. Yes, Wanted by Night. I don't know how much more popular a designer men's fragrance can be than Wanted by Night. And then the Most Wanted, the newest fragrance. My personal favorite in the line, honestly. But here, I've always found this to be so much more than people ever gave it credit for. It's lovely. You get a little touch of that Invictus type of style opening without smelling exactly like Invictus. There's a little bit of a sweet aquatic feel here, more sweet than aquatic, but it gets a lot of spiciness going for it. Really, really fast. A cinnamon type of spice, a warm, spicy heart and core to this fragrance. A little bit of a ginger feel to it as well. It's a brilliant smell, and it performs amazing on my skin. This is a 7 to 8 hour lifespan on my skin. It lasts. 7 to 8 hours is a long time for a fragrance to last on your skin, and it's got the type of projection that's pronounced but not overwhelming. It's a very desirable performance that most people seek after. While some will deem they want the beast of the beast, I get that. This is toned back just a bit from being a beast, but still in the very strong leaning performance for projection, sillage, and longevity. It definitely sticks to the skin. It puts out, it will get a compliment here and there for sure. I mean, this is the base DNA for these lovely, wonderful flankers that have come out in this line and made it such a beloved line in the first place. And this is one that you can get super cheap, 50 mLs like this, 30 bucks or less from most discounters. It does not get enough love, and at this stage of the game, because so many people are wearing its successors, it's a no-brainer if you want to stand out, because nobody's wearing the damn thing anymore. It's crazy to me because it's such a good fragrance, and when it comes to these brilliant flankers of original DNAs, how can you not want to pay respects to the original DNA that started the whole thing in the beginning? And this is a lovely fragrance that, like I said before, gets overshadowed by its releases of the same vein, of the same DNA, only tweaked. It's a great fragrance. It never stopped being a great fragrance. People just stopped wearing it for some reason. That being the original AZZARO Wanted. So I can tell you firsthand, this gets no love. I believe it's discontinued. Pretty confident it's discontinued. It's one of those flankers of a flanker. Similar to what Giorgio Armani did in the Acqua di Gio line with Profondo and Profondo Lights. They had tried that prior with ABSOLU and Absolute Instinct. Here with Absolute Instinct, this does smell like the original Absolu. It has that fruity, patchouli, marine notes, aquatic feel with some added darkness of ebony wood and seaweed. Now, that does sound interesting just to say. And when you smell it, it kind of really comes together on what they were looking for here. If you're looking for a dark aquatic, I believe this to be the best dark aquatic ever made. And I really feel like if more people would have given it a chance, it might still be on the market. Even if it was planned to just be a limited release, maybe it still wouldn't be, but it would have got a lot more love than it actually did. This is another one that performs great, above average without being a beast, pronounced without being overwhelming as far as projection, and it smells a little bit different because there's not that many dark aquatics out there. The ebony wood really provides this dark woody feel. The seaweed provides a almost bitter feel without being a salty, bitter type of smell like seaweed can come off sometimes when they use that in fragrances. But it still has that fruitiness, that bright uplifting nature of Absolu, which this was flankered from. Not the easiest fragrance to find these days, admittedly, but if you can get it, it's an interesting, unique summertime fragrance that, again, because of the dark nature to it, I think works great in the evenings if you're looking for that that summer evening fragrance that just isn't another fresh fragrance, you know, because you'll still maintain a lot of fresh mass appeal here with the fruitiness, with the C notes, that aquatic vibe that the line is known for, with the added appeal of those darker nuances and facets that Absolute Instinct provides that nothing else in the line really has. Get your nose on this one if you have an opportunity. It's definitely different, and one that I believe is criminally underrated. It's Acqua di Gio Absolute Instinct. One that pops up at the rack stores on occasion. Cheapy gold in my opinion. Honestly, the highlight of the line of the 3 fragrances that were released in this collaboration series from John Varvatos in collaboration with Nick Jonas. This is JVXNJ. This is Crimson. The red bottle. This is a 4.2 ounce. I paid right around $35 from my Marshalls for this one. And what's so enjoyable about this one, it has a fruitiness to it, a fruity sweet nature, a boozy feel, a saffron type of spice where it's not a peppery spice. It's got more of that, you know, slight flowery type of appeal without smelling like a flower. Saffron has this interesting way of spicing a fragrance without coming across peppery. Sometimes it can, depending on the saffron used, but here it kind of comes across almost a little woody, spicy type of feel to the saffron here. The rum really stands out, and it's got this red berry smell to it, providing this berry fruity sweetness. It's a little on the synthetic side, but not near as synthetic as the other 2 fragrances in the line, the blue bottle and the silver bottle, whereas those are much more blue fragrance, mass appealing, Coach for Men, Dior Sauvage-esque type of fragrances. Here, it's got a bit more character going for it. There's a lot more evening appropriation here with the scent profile versus the other 2, where those are just playful, easygoing, mass appealing, easy to like daytime scents. And this, while still very easy to like, don't get me wrong, the boozy nature here with the spices and the red berry sweetness, fruitiness, kind of changes the game a little bit and offers a bit more character that's kind of lacking in the other 2 fragrances in the line, and makes it, like I said before, much more cool weather appropriate. While not the best choice in cold, very cold weather, cooler weather it will work really well, and especially in the evenings year round. This is a great fragrance in my opinion, especially for a younger man that's looking for something a little different, that's not Dolce & Gabbana the one, that's not La Nuit de l'Homme for evening wear. Definitely give this one a try. If you see it out there, they still pop up at the rack stores all the time. They're readily available from discounters online for a great price. It's John Varvatos and Nick Jonas, Crimson. A forgotten flanker, if you will, because this line's been flankered to death in the last 20 years. It really has. They have a yearly release. Some years they have multiple releases. And while not the most complex and intriguing flanker in the line, it's one of the more refined, well-rounded flankers. That being the Armani Code line. This is Armani Code A-List. This was a limited edition flanker. I believe it only came in this 50 ml bottle size, if I remember correctly. I think it's the 1 bottle size. Could be 2 bottle sizes. I could be wrong. I did not double check that before shooting this video. But it's one that, if the tonka bean's too sweet, too powdery, and a little too overwhelming in most of the more modern flankers for this line, this might be the one you've been looking for. If you like the original Armani Code, you just want something a little bit fresher, maybe not so dark, a little bit more daytime appropriate, if you will, but not just another blue fragrance, which they have those in this line. They have plenty of blue flankers, most notably Cologne, whereas here with A-List you're going to get a little bit of citrus freshness up top. You do still have that sweet tonka bean at the core of this fragrance, which is what Armani Code is known for, only it's not overwhelmingly powdery. It's not super sweet or super vanilla bomb smelling where it's got a bunch of vanilla mixed with tonka bean like a lot of the flankers, the newer flankers, tend to be in this line. It maintains the freshness and the versatility and a more clean daytime appeal, appropriate for work. If you're a fan of the original Armani Code, it's maybe your go-to in the evenings and has been for years. You're that guy. You just would like something a little bit more clean, refined, and fresh, but similar. A-List is probably the fragrance you've been looking for and didn't even realize it. You can find these from discounters online in the $60-ish range. You don't need a lot of sprays. It does stick to the skin. It's like an 8-hour longevity type of fragrance on my skin. It's not overwhelming and super loud like some of the other ones, but it is pronounced. It does perform much, much better than newer versions of the original Armani code. So don't fret if that's a concern of yours. This definitely performs above average to the very good range of what I would consider 7, 8, even 9 hours on skin. If you spray clothes, obviously it would be even further beyond, and it does provide that freshness that's lacking from some of the newer flankers and even from the original. Like I said, if you're just looking for a fresher take on Armani code, but you don't want some ambroxan filled or ambergris filled blue take on it, get your hands on A-List. It's definitely the one you're looking for. So, in the community, there was serious hype for a long time on one particular Guerlain fragrance, that being Guerlain L'Homme Ideal Cologne. There was crazy hype when this one got announced to being discontinued. They were super cheap, abundant, and easy to get all over the place. $20 to $30 for 50 to 100 milliliter bottles. They were showing up at rack stores. I have a sealed 50 ml backup bottle that I picked up at a TJ Maxx as well myself. It's a lovely, gorgeous, creamy almond, bright citrus fragrance that is very unique when it comes to fresh, mass-appealing fragrances. The hype is absolutely real and justified on this. Well, the stock has dried up, and its successor was Guerlain L'Homme Ideal Cool. So this was a minty, creamy take for the new fresh fragrance in the line. And there was some excitement surrounding its release. I know I myself was very excited about this one, but the hype died ever so quickly. It seems like nobody was, other than a handful of people on social media, nobody was really giving it the time of day and giving it a chance. I, however, never wavered from my excitement for it. While it's not one I wear all the time, I have worn it a handful of times. As you can see, the juice level has dropped. Hell, I've worn it almost as much as I've worn Guerlain L'Homme Ideal Cool. In some instances, I actually prefer it because it's got that mint green ice cream type of smell to it. It's different. That bitter creamy almond mixing with this mint note that was used here is very, very well done. It's interesting. It's almost got a gourmand feel. Like I said, think of the green minty ice cream type of mint. Very lovely, very cooling, strong cooling effect without being too much. So it's aptly named, the color of the juice fits, and it's actually got a bit more character than what it took the place of. Just not enough people really gave it a chance. And that's why I think if more of you were to just really get out and get a carded sample, get your hands on a decant, I think more people would buy bottles of this. I'm not sure if it's still for sale. I haven't heard anything about it being discontinued, but it's definitely one that is out there. Where you can find the EDP, the L'Intense, the EDT, or even the Sport Flanker, another one that's underwhelming when it comes to hype and nobody gives a chance. I think if more people got around to putting their nose on this one, more people would get a bottle, and this is one that's definitely going to help you stand out. This doesn't smell like any other fragrance. Not any other fragrance I've tried anyways in regards to mint fragrances, because I do thoroughly enjoy varieties of mint fragrances, where be it natural mint, synthetic mint, spearmint, peppermint. I enjoy a good mint fragrance, and in my opinion, this is a great mint fragrance that got underwhelming reviews, and because of it, not enough people are wearing it. And if you get your nose on it and you end up getting a bottle, you're definitely going to set yourself apart. Guerlain L'Homme Ideal Cool. There was a time when this was a hot release for people to wear during the summer, many years ago. It had its heyday with a little bit of hype as a summer fragrance because there's not that many really good rum boozy summertime fragrances out there. Well, in regards to Bulgari Man Black Cologne, this was the answer to that. Whereas you get a little bit of that tuberose dry down that Man in Black is known for, you still get some of the freshness of the original Man. And even though it's called cologne, it doesn't perform like a cologne. It actually performs above average. And it provides so much depth and character character versus your standard fresh fragrance that most people would wear during the summertime. Obviously not strictly for the summertime weather, will work fine in the spring and the fall. Also a great daily wear, signature scent worthy type of boozy fragrance. It's not too boozy, it's not too floral, it's not too spicy, it's not too fresh. It kind of rides the line and balances all the different facets of what makes this such an interesting flanker in the first place. And the hype really killed over in the last several years. I never hear anybody talk about it. I never see a scent of the day post. I never see it get any love. Hell, I'm bad about it myself. I haven't wore this fragrance in a very long time, and it's one that deserves attention, and that's why I wanted to feature it in this video. This is one that's still readily available from discounters for a really good price for a 60 ml like this. You don't need a ton of sprays. It is interesting. It's not bland. It's not run-of-the-mill. It doesn't smell like anything else. But there's no challenge here at the same time. That's the beauty. It's easy to enjoy, but it's still different. Performs above average, not an overwhelming or really loud projection. It's more in that average moderate range where hour and a half, then it sits a bit closer to the skin. So if you're not looking for a real heavy in your face type of fragrance, but still is gonna last a long time on your skin in the 6 to 8 hour range, you might want to check this one out. Like I said, it had its heyday in hype. The hype killed over many years ago at this point. It's still easy to get a hold of for a good price, and it still stands on its own as a unique, boozy, fresh fragrance. Bulgari Man Black Cologne. One that admittedly I was skeptical to get in the first place because I had the original for many years, and while it's a decent fragrance, it's one that as your collection starts to grow, it can get pretty boring. It's kind of a basic bubblegummy cinnamon fragrance. But when I just decided to roll the dice on Mont Blanc Emblem Intense, I was so delighted by what I ended up getting. Performance is much grander here. This is more of a 6 to 8 hour fragrance, whereas the original was more of a 4 or 5 hour fragrance. The projection is on the heavier side, especially in the first 2 hours, without being overwhelming, and it has this beautiful warm apple smell to go with that cinnamon. It still has a little touch of that bubblegummy sage kind of feel, but not so much. It definitely smells like an intensified version of the original, and overall across the board better version of the original Mont Blanc Emblem. So if you've ever tried the original and you were skeptical about the Intense just like me, I can assure you this is the ultimate version of that scent profile. It is the best smelling version, best performing version of that scent profile. While not a mold breaker, it's more on the mass appealing youthful side. It's not a serious fragrance. It does provide a lot more depth than the original. The ABSOLU flanker, the gold bottle, basically just a sweeter version of Boss Bottled. I say if you have any version of Boss Bottled that smells like Boss Bottled, avoid that one at all costs. This is the highlight of the line. You can get 100 milliliter bottles for around $30 from discounters online. I paid $30 for a 60 ml at a Marshall's, which I was totally fine with. I knew the differences there. I like finding things in person and kind of rolling the dice, if you will. And this is one that's different. It's different, but not too different. It's very easy to like. It's warm and spicy. It's fruity without being very sweet. It's not too far down the rabbit hole of interesting by any means, I can assure you, but it is different enough. There's enough going for it here to really make you stand out from everybody else around you because it doesn't smell like everything else. That is the beauty of it, and it's very, very affordable and performs well above what you'll pay for it. Again, that's Mont Blanc Emblem Intense. Last but not least, speaking of Boss Bottled, this is one of those flankers that lavender lovers should at least get their nose on at the minimum. At the minimum, you should try this fragrance. That being Hugo Boss Boss Bottled Infinite. So this purple juice is very fitting. It is a strong lavender dominant fragrance. It has this lovely olive tree note, and it does provide a rich olive type of smell with a little hint of that apple pie vibe that the original is known for. It is present. It does smell like they took Boss No. 6, Boss Bottled, thickened it up a bit, added a heavy dose of lavender to the top, and this lovely olive tree note to the base, to where you pick it up more and more as the fragrance dries. Not winning any awards in performance by any means. It's average to slightly above average. It's like a 6-hour fragrance on my skin. If you spray your clothes, you wear it in the cooler weather, yeah, it can go in that 7 to 8 hour realm for sure. For most, it's probably going to fall somewhere in the 4 to 7 hour range on your skin. It depends on how it reacts on your skin. But it's definitely a different take on the Boss Bottled DNA. One of the better ways to smell like Boss Bottled, in my opinion. It's an underrated flanker. Does not get the love it deserves. This is one that stayed true to the DNA, which is a rarity in this line over the years, and added a little bit more character to an already immensely popular DNA with simple notes. Olive tree, which isn't widely used in the first place, but lavender, which is extremely widely used in perfumery and just all aromatic products out there. Bubble baths, shower gels, shampoos, conditioners, and so on. Lavender's used all over the place. But here, it's done just right with the right scent profile to really make a unique lavender fragrance, in my opinion. I know that's kind of hard to say and hard to hear and really understand when I say a unique lavender fragrance, because that's a difficult thing to do in the first place. But they managed to pull it off, in my opinion. It's different enough without being a challenging fragrance. It doesn't overwhelmingly relax you like lavender has the attribute of doing for most. It's not a super calming effect. It is a really good work fragrance to get you through your day. And you're not going to smell like everybody else. And it's not a super soapy type of lavender either. That's the beauty of it. You get the strong aromatic nature without it just being an overwhelming soap fragrance. So definitely get your nose on this one. Very, very underrated in my opinion. One of the highlights of the line, I think. It's Boss Bottled Infinite. Well, that's the 10 I have for you today. And until next time, do me a real quick favor. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. So I do appreciate all the feedback, and I love hearing from you guys. What of these choices have you tried yourself already? Are some of these newer to you? Have you not heard of a few of these? Admittedly, some of these are going to be a little bit of a challenge to get because they've been discontinued for a little while, and the reason they got discontinued is they just didn't sell well. Whether it be lack of hype, creating a lack of sales, or whatever, for one reason or another they got overshadowed. But just because they got discontinued, or there's so many other options in its own fragrance line, does not mean it's not a great fragrance in its own right. And these are some that I feel really deserve more attention and more love from even myself, and that's why I wanted to talk to you guys about it today. And until next time, I will say, if you get your hands on any of the 10 I featured in this video and you give them a spray now, there's a chance you might thank me later. Have a good one, guys.